Bunkai Strategies. Now, so far, we've looked at the distance, we've looked at the types of attack that we've got, we've looked at the idea that we're going to move the embosen of the kata to where we're going to be facing the opponent, or we're going to move the opponent onto the embosen rather than turning to face someone. We've looked at the range that we're at, and we've also checked on our triangulation to make sure that we're aiming everything at the opponent. So this week we're just going to take a quick look at a principle that also comes into it, which is to say that whatever we're connecting with is going to connect halfway through the course of its movement. Now, at first that sounds a little bit strange, but let's think about this. If I'm going to punch someone, if the move in my kata is to punch someone, and even ignoring the hikite hand and all that for the moment, if I'm going to step in and do this, at worst I'm going to give him a bruise. You know, I'm not really going to get penetration through the target. So for me to connect in a way that's going to go through, I'm going to have to make the connection part-way through the movement and have the force continue into the target. So therefore, this isn't the end position where we meet the target. We meet the target on the way and go to the end position. Now, if we can see that in a hit, then it becomes vital when we look at the other stuff. So for instance, we know that there are several kata which contain or start with an inside to outside block. Now, whether you do that in a front stance or a back stance or a neko ash, this has to do something. Now, if there's a punch coming in here and I'm just going to meet it here, then this technique has done a job by protecting me, but this hand was redundant, and we already said we have to use both hands, and this has come out and just deflected, which means that it didn't make contact during the course of its movement, made contact more or less at the end of its movement. If we just change that range again and look at the idea that when that's come out, it's been met and received, and then we've made the contact partway through the movement, and then we've continued the movement, then you see that we're either going to get an armbar, or a break, or a throw, depending on how we choose to use the movement. So the velocity or the attack that we're going to make is going to change whether it becomes a lock, or a break, or a throw, but essentially it's the same movement. So we're going to connect halfway through, both hands working, that was on last week's, the week before's clip, and then come to the end position. Now, if we can see it in these kind of movements, all the movements that we do, then we start to get some clues. For instance, if we've got a kata that ends in this position, which some do, say for instance, heian nidan, pinan shodan, or jite, for instance, where we end with a rising block, as people call it, then we're also going to realise that age means rising, uki means to receive, there's no block in there. So how can I finish my kata with this happening, where he's still got that ready to punch me? But I can finish a kata with this happening, because this opponent's going to be stopped, let's say. I nearly said disabled, right, by what I'm doing here when this follows through to its end position. So the course that our techniques make dictates their function. Right? So we're not looking at meeting him at the end. Other applications for that, why you might finish a kata with that move, let's say that big hook comes in, receive here, bring this in, ram this up through the middle, and you'll notice that we haven't made the stance because we're not managing to get the body weight into the technique yet. We see that the end position is the follow through. This becomes especially important when you look at techniques like these, because this is the follow through position. That means we've got to make the contact and try to go through to here. So we're going to make the contact halfway through the movement. Some things come in, we receive that, bring that into here, and then this is ramming into here, and we're making the contact and trying to get through to here. And it's that follow through that will do the damage. If I only mean to bump him, then I'm only going to bump him. But if I mean to take it through, then there's going to be more potential for the technique to do what it's meant to do. This starts to fool people when we see techniques like this, because we say, well, what are you going to do bringing your foot all the way up there for? That's silly. But what if we receive the hook, bring that into here, and now I try to take my foot up towards the hand. On the way, it's going to meet a leg, or a thigh, or up into the ribs. It might take the inside thigh, or it might just be that we bring the face down into the knee instead of the foot. You understand that the course of the technique is the clue to the application, not the end position. And that's why we have a principle that we label halfway through. And you take that and apply it to all the techniques in every kata that you do.